Today I will speak with my other hat as a member of Executive Committee of CIVIC. We are starting today's third annual CIVIC conference, and I would like to invite Minister of Information Society and Administration, Ms. Marta Tomovska, to open this conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone. I'm thrilled for the opportunity to address at the third annual meeting of the Southeastern European Dialogue on Internet Governance as a sub-regional Internet Governance Forum initiative. It is also a privilege that my country, Republic of Macedonia, is hosting it and thus showing the dedication to actively participate in the creating, enabling and undertaking various activities and policies aiming to promote, assure and, above all, shape the evolution and the use of the Internet. We are at the core of the fourth industrial revolution, which scale, scope and complexity are transforming our lives unlike anything before. Having complete digital transformation as the next step in the digital evolution, we must say that open, inclusive, collaborative and transparent dialogue on Internet governance issues is important more than ever before. The question of Internet governance has been formally raised almost 15 years ago under the auspices of the World Summit of Information Society, while a few years later, the Internet Governance Forum was conceived. In this occasion, I will share with you that I was part of the Macedonian delegation attending the first Internet Governance Forum in Athens back in 2006, then representing the business community. Now, in 2017, I'm still active in the IGF discussions, this time representing the government. So, my point is that we all have shared responsibility to design technical, political and economic aspects of Internet governance and thus to govern the Internet in a way that is meaningful, safe and responsible. Republic of Macedonia is a country where the Internet governance is of crucial importance. During the years, we have provided conditions where all our citizens have access to Internet, and we have included broadband in the universal services portfolio. With 75.3% of the households already connected on Internet and 72.2% of the population online, according to the State Statistical Bureau, as well as the targets for ultra-fast broadband coverage and take-up laid by the European Commission within 2020 digital agenda, we, as policy creators and regulators, have many areas of concern about the Internet governance. Those areas include infrastructure, network architecture and relating technical issues, content control and issues like reliability of the sources of information, fake news, spam and pornography, cybercrime issues such as fraud, identity theft and theft of intellectual property, cyber attacks such as terrorism and major network disruptions, and of course human rights in the aspects of freedom of expression, privacy and protection from surveillance. In order to address those areas, we have started to design principles, norms, rules and programs that are providing responsible Internet behaviors and thus that the Internet is not our worst enemy but the most powerful tool we ever possess towards the new evolution. In this context, as a positive aspect, we are working on digital transformation of our society and our government in the context of electronic public service delivery. So we are providing conditions for e-business, e-commerce, e-health, e-education, e-taxation, e-democracy, and many more E's that are gradually becoming M's like in mobile and S like in smart. In order to be able to provide that, we also have to deal with legal issues like electronic management, digital identities and signatures, interoperable institutions, and single window systems. So all of these aspects of internet governance are addressed in different pieces of legislation, gradually and according to the pace of the digitalization of each individual country. As more and more people are connected, more and more the technology is evolving, more challenges will arise, so more standards and rules will be implied. If all internet users were situated in a geographically merged position, that would be the state with population of 3.2 billion, the largest in the world out of 195 independent. But as this is not the case, there is no general internet law, neither the internet constitution. There is only an open internet governance model based on bottom-up and collaborative policy and standard development processes involving all stakeholders. That is why I am supportive of this initiative and this gathering. Under the same roof, we have both people from theory and practice, both policymakers and followers, both innovators and adapters, both students and experienced professionals. Meaning that this meeting is promising both provocative and meaningful discussions on the various internet governance aspects. So I wish you a fruitful day ahead, significant conclusions and important takeoffs, and of course a pleasant stay in Ohrid. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Sorry that I was speaking this time on behalf of the Executive Committee of CD. Could you give me just 1 second to start my slides? So I will be brief, but what my colleagues and I want to do this morning is to take you through the very short history of CD. As Sasha has mentioned, we are at a third edition, so we are a rather young initiative, but we have done quite a few things. So we would like to show you how CD has grown and encourage you to join us for the future. So let me start. CD started actually as a discussion between, I think, 10 people in the context of the aecmkd meeting. It was a very informal gathering and we were thinking about what we can do for our region to create this kind of dialogue among all stakeholders on internet-related challenges and opportunities that are specific to our region. So at this meeting in June 2014, we were discussing informally about what we can do. There was no specific idea for a CD or an IGF initiative, there were just questions. From this point on, the discussions continued. We moved into discussions with ICANN, with Eurodig, with Internet Society, with DRIVE, the European Commission, the Council of Europe, and all of our other supporting organizations. And step by step, we got to this point. Because for the next year, in 2015, Eurodig, which is the pan-European IGF initiative, was about to be held in Sofia, which was our region, we thought that this is a starting point for our region, for Southeastern Europe. So we thought about organizing a pre-event for Eurodig for Southeastern European stakeholders. And this is how it started. At that point, we were calling it Southeastern European Roundtable, so not exactly a name. And the actual meeting was held in Sofia in June 2015. It was the day before Eurodig. We had around 150 people, but everyone was excited about what we're trying to do for the region. And this was the Deputy Minister of Bulgaria opening the civic sessions. So we had this first meeting. By the time of Sofia, we also gave the name of Southeastern European Dialogue on Internet Governance. And the godfather of CDIG in terms of name is Jean-Jacques Sahel, which unfortunately is not with us today, but the name comes from affiliation. So we had a meeting, and after the meeting we thought, okay, so we have this first start. What do we do next? Do we go with Eurodig and organize this as a pre-event for every single Eurodig meeting? Do we stick to the region? Do we want to do more than just an annual event? And step by step, we got to the second meeting, which was in Belgrade. The community decided that CDIG should stay in the region, in countries in the region, and discuss about regional issues, of course. In Belgrade, we met in April 2016. We were hosted by the Serbian CCTLD registry. We had around 150 participants as well, multi-stakeholders from the region and beyond, with support from our key supporting organizations. The meeting in Belgrade ended, and we thought again. So is this what we want to do with CIVIC? Do we want to do more? Is this useful for the community? And we asked again the community, what do we do? The community said we should continue, but we should do more than just an annual meeting. Because internet governance issues are there not just once a year. So what can we do to involve everyone in discussions and collaboration between two annual meetings? And this is one example of what we call intersessional activities. In collaboration with Diplo Foundation and the Geneva Internet Platform, we have launched an initiative which we call Internet Governance Development in Southeastern Europe. So what we do, every month we look at what happens in the region in terms of good and bad things together, and we summarize them in basically this thing, a 4-pager, which shows developments and events. We have people from the region sending us this kind of developments. We have a team, my colleagues in the executive committee, our interns, everyone is contributing to this, and at the end of the month we publish it. And also at the end of the month we meet in what we call the Southeastern European Hub to discuss these developments and see how they impact us. So this is one of, again, the civic intersectional activities. But we can do more, and we should be doing more if we want this community to stay together and to actually have an impact on the development of internet-related policies in the region. What we also do, of course, we present our messages and our points of view at other internet governance processes, and here we have only 2 examples. The IGF, for example, last year at the IGF in Mexico, we had the sessions with the data stakeholders from the region, and a few of you from this room were there. Thank you for that. We also get together in the context of European meetings. We present our messages there. So we are trying to make sure that the voice of Southeastern European stakeholders is better heard in pan-European and international processes. And when I say messages, I basically mean the results of this meeting. Because as I think as you have seen yesterday, every session ends with some key messages. Basically, a sort of an overview of the main things that have been discussed at the session. We put those into the meeting report and we present those at European, the IGF, and other regional and international organizations and processes. And what we have also done this year, we have grown a bit faster than we expected. We have an internship program. We have 2 interns with us today, Merve and Paula, somewhere in the room. We have also launched Youth School, thanks to support from the Internet Corporation for assignments and numbers. We have 18 students somewhere here as well. They had a very interesting debate yesterday about privacy and security, and I thank them for being so active in that discussion. And we also have a fellowship program. We have 16 fellows also somewhere in the room. They were discussing yesterday about developments in the region and having debates on internet issues. And the fellowship program is kindly sponsored by the Internet Society, so thank you for that as well. So this is where CITIC is now, and just showing our key supporters. I have mentioned them again before, but I think I can do that just to express once again our thanks. The Internet Corporation for Assignments and Numbers, the Internet Society, Right Network Coordination Center, the Internet Governance Forum Support Association, you heard about this yesterday, Council of Europe, present here, the European Commission was with us online yesterday, Affilias, the Serbian Registry, the Internet Governance Forum, the European Dialogue on Internet Forum, Internet Governance, Diplo Foundation, and our regional supporting organization, One World Platform, Association for Technology and Internet in Romania, Internet Society Serbia chapter, and our regional and the Internet Society in Armenia. So these are our key supporting organization, and officially on behalf of the Executive Committee of CIVIC and on behalf of the whole CIVIC community, we thank you for your support, and we hope you will continue to support CIVIC. And to end with some fun numbers about CIVIC, because, well, numbers show better how we have grown over the past few years. We have 16 supporting organizations, over 400 participants in our 3 meetings. We had 2 surveys, one last year on internet governance, how it is perceived in the region, and one this year on INS. It will be presented today. And thank you to those of you who have responded to the survey. We had 22 online public meetings because we meet face-to-face only in this context for the annual meeting, but everything we do is online. And thank you to everybody for being around for those. We had 7 hub meetings, 8 monthly summaries. The number of emails is quite impressive, and we spent a bit of time yesterday counting them, 758. We are also participating in national IGF initiatives across the region, and this is the number of meetings we've attended so far. And yes, the most fun is the estimated number of cups of coffees we've had in the executive committee to pull this through. So this is basically how CIVIC has been growing over the past 3 years. And this is not thanks to us in the executive committee, because we are only here to drive the process. This is thanks to you, the community, who has seen value in this initiative, who has been contributing, who has been working on shaping the program for this meeting, who is advising us on what kind of interpretation activities we can still do. So we thank you for that, and we hope you will stay engaged as you've done before. We hope you can help us reach out to others and strengthen this community, make CIVIC grow even faster than it has done over the past 3 years. And I will end here just saying I wish you all very fruitful day of discussions today, and please stay engaged with CIVIC, and we are always open to discussions about how we can grow. And just to underline the key principles of CIVIC: bottom up, open, inclusive, and transparent. Whenever you see we are not that, please let us know. Thanks so much.
Good morning, dobar dan, Birgita. That's all. Yes, and few other words that you must have. So this is the panel of true, false, yes, and the anchor women are V and V, Valentina and Vale. And you can guess if it's true or false. So shall we call our wonderful panelists that are hiding somewhere? Philip, Margosata, come, take the place. Because, you know, people like to stay behind. Because it's more safe when you're not on the front line. Please come. So we will and Sasho. Where is Sasho? Where is Sasho? Yes. So we have, this is, as you can see, is a gender equal panel, because we are from remote, Narin from Armenia. And when V and V do anything, there is always a gender balanced panel. Because we think that voices and different voices matter. So while my wonderful friends sit, are you ready? Microphone. Okay, yes, but V and V didn't want to sit. We think that, see, if I sit, I lose half of my appeal. And Valentina too. So we will see if we can get some microphone. While we took places, let's say what we're going to talk. We were thinking, you know, fake news. I'm Italian by origin. I lived in the Balkans 22 years. And what moved me to Balkans was the awful wars of the Balkans. And you know that when there are wars, there are propaganda. And I think the fake news, alias propaganda, is something that we all know. And just to say that propaganda goes through every means. It can be television, it can be print, it can be the internet. With the internet, it goes fast. It goes viral. So this is what we want to discuss. We want to reflect together, not the people sitting on the panel. We just started the conversation, but it's really a conversation because it's about internet. And internet is democratizing conversation. On television, if you remember, you should be invited to talk. Otherwise, the people that sit there manage the conversation. In internet, I talk, you reply. And then any other person can just connect. And the conversation goes horizontally. So this is what we want to have today, that we talk to each other. That we don't talk only about fake news, only about the bad things on the internet that give us headaches, but that we talk also, I don't know if Narin can be screen, but you will see that we have Narin. But that we talk also about literacy. media literacy, digital literacy. Because if we are in a space and we are not able to understand the space, how it works, then we cannot use. I don't know if you ever had felt, stupid, dumb, because you cannot understand where to push the button, how to make that things work. And then you feel impotent. And there is a learning curve. Sometimes it's the friend that will explain you how to do things. Sometimes it's by yourself. But the more you learn, the more you get support to learn, the better and the more confident you feel. So that's the second part of our conversation. I want to talk about digital literacy. And we would like to hear about our own initiative. So now I hand over to Valentina, which will introduce our first part. We are going to be very simple. We will have a first conversation on fake news, disinformation, second part on digital literacy. Please.
Thank you, Valentina. Hello to you all. I would like to also thank Sorina for this wonderful introduction and for bringing us all here together. And many thanks to you for being here. Just to set up the stage, we will first have short interventions from Philip first, from a digital rights NGO in Macedonia, and then from Malgorzata, who's representing Council of Europe. And after they touch a few points, we will do a short exercise together, and then continue the discussion on media literacy and what role it has in this fake news phenomenon. So, Philip, if you would like to begin.
Thank you, Valentina and Vala, and the organizers for this great opportunity to share our experience in this area, because we came to the issue of fake news as part of the issue of media literacy through our engagement in democracy and digital rights online. However, as the media become more and more less traditional, if I can say, and they move to the online spaces, there was big interconnection between human rights online and the media sphere. So I will present a little bit of our experience, and but also I would like to connect with what Varla said, that fake news is not really a new phenomenon. Media manipulations have been existing since a lot longer before the Facebook or the internet or the recent campaigns and so on. And even, I think, they have been existing before journalism appeared. Because media is not only journalism. Media is also propaganda. Media is technology that is transmitting some sort of information, either false or not false, from one person to another. Probably the first type of media was political propaganda. In the Babylon or in the ancient civilizations of Babylon, Sumer and others, we have remaining of monuments to rulers who proclaim that they are God's representative on earth, strengthening their power. So it's kind of political propaganda. Journalism appeared only in the last several hundred years. Before, it was not really existent. It is connected with the Enlightenment, it is connected with the scientific outlook on life. So, what we today call fake news, for about 200 years in Europe, was called journalist back, or canard in French, and the same word, the same term was used also in German in translation or in Russian, and in South Slavic languages, novinarska patka. They were news items which were about something outrageous that when you read it, you realize it's something funny. And then you would read later by the media, haha, we were just making fun of it. For instance, there was in America, in 1830s, a news item about travel to the moon and how the moon people live, or something like that. However, with the new technologies, we have a new dimension because the media sphere was in a way democratized. A lot more actors than traditional news organizations who had their code of conduct and who were in a way self-regulating. A lot more actors were able to come to this space to reach more people, including, for instance, in the latest phenomenon that made Macedonia even more famous on world scale, groups of entrepreneurs who were using the power of social media to create or to copy fake news as clickbait to attract visitors to their website. And when they realized that it's political news about certain American politicians which draw people to their websites, they were contributing to the basically the dialogue in another country and influencing it without direct actual connection to the journalistic standards or even doing reporting. They just thought that their main job is to attract visitors and get money from ads. I come to the conference because of our experience with the tackling media manipulations, which is a wider area than just fake news, through the media fact-checking service, which was supported by USAID and was functioning in Macedonia. We have a situation in Macedonia which was recognized at the international level, that the media space was both in many ways controlled by centers of power and also not adhering to the standards of professional journalism. The goal of the project was to provide public education for the citizens through direct implementation of journalistic standards. And that was accomplished through provision of analytical articles, which basically on a daily basis, as various media manipulations were appearing in real time, the articles were following this, documenting, and also helping citizens realize where the standards are not implemented and how to basically react, or how inciting them to demand higher quality of media production. It is based on the principles of fact-checking which were developed through the Truth Meter network, and it is basically in order to adapt these principles to the media sphere, because the media are essential part of these political conversations. The media fact-checking service focused on the stipulations within the Code of Journalists of Macedonia, which is the same as international codes of journalists elsewhere, and developed a production of different types of articles, including journalist peer reviews, which were about over 3,000 during the course of the project, which were based on several very clear criteria. So anybody, these criteria were published openly through the methodology which is available on the website, and anybody who would get acquainted with these criteria and the journalist code of conduct could make their own reviews of the content of the media and then possibly come to the same conclusions as the reviewers. We wanted to incite dialogue or a multilateral conversation between the journalists, the users, and the wider community of civil society and institutions and all other stakeholders, but based on a very clear set of rules, which also limited our work in a way, because this was only addressing information presented as news, not opinions, not getting into various types of discussions about things that cannot be proven if they are fake or not, because sometimes politicians or journalists make various types of vague statements which cannot be classified as news. But news, according to the journalist standards, are about conveying the truth, something that can be verified. It is not the philosophical truth of the ultimate truth of the universe, but the truth about the facts which can be shown if they are true or not. So we had a good response by the citizens online. We had a lot of thousands of people joining in various ways, including becoming fans of our Facebook pages. But I can also show you several examples of how these media manipulations appear. So these are some kinds of manipulations, and I must also emphasize that not all of these manipulations are based on intent. Sometimes it's lack of knowledge, lack of time, or other considerations. And also, while we were doing this, we were not only pointing to the bad, but also to the good examples in order to show the citizens how to recognize quality. So, for instance, yes, almost. So, for instance, this is an article about citizens of Macedonia who like to go to a weekend in Thessaloniki on the sea. However, the image is from Venice, so it is a very strange, I mean, it's a very normal or usual example. People taking photos from Google Images and putting different lines. This is, for instance, type of media manipulation, which is kind of a propaganda, anti-European propaganda, saying that the babies in the EU will receive computer chips to track them down. That is a EU regulation. This is, for instance, a sophisticated type of fake news, because a foreign newspaper has published an advertisement, a commercial advertisement about the situation in Macedonia, and then this local media outlet is publishing it as if it's an opinion by the foreign newspaper, the Forbes. This is also interesting example where a very base police report about somebody who was caught with heroin, like a suspect, is beautified, enhanced with a photo from something completely different. And when this is also an interesting example that when we published the review, the media replaced the photo. These are also other kinds of manipulations, but where there is a character assassination of people. Also, this is, for instance, a good example of a very thorough reportage or article dealing with the problem of ecology. We are part of one international fact-checking network with members on various continents, and I must say that fact-checking as a counter balance to fake news is gaining power. There are more and more such projects around the world, and even our project, the Media Fact-Checking Service, was replicated because all its methodology was open in Egypt with a media fact-checking service of Egyptian activists. There are also different types of fake news that can be classified, but we can show after, of course.
Thank you very much, Philip. We will have the chance to come back with more examples on fake news and discuss in more details. But let me introduce Marco Zata from the Council of Europe, who will briefly mention some case law on misinformation and also present a bit the institution for those of you who are not so familiar with it. Marco Zata, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was a great introduction, and I can only agree that there is nothing so much new about fake news. Conspiracy theories, rumors, political propaganda are well known and well established in the political discourse, public discourse for the truth. But it was, I believe, the American election and the role of social media and the spread of inaccurate data to the social media that raise awareness and the pressing needs to find the right solution, the right approach to this problem. So in a way it has some novel aspect and it requires us, international community, all stakeholders to be preventive and approach this problem. But when doing this, we should be following guidance of international law, notably the European Convention on Human Rights, as interpreted by the court, because our attempts to counteract the simulation of fake news might, if too hasty or too far going, might have adverse effect and infringe the quality of public debate. So let me briefly familiarize you with some guidance that could be that has been developed by the European Court of Human Rights regarding dissemination of false information. This guidance has been developed in a number of cases, mostly regarding information, but not only, also cases of, like in some case, of dissemination of false information within election campaign for political reasons. So let's start. As you may know, I'm sure you know, Article 10, Para 1 of European Convention on Human Rights establishes the right to freedom of expression that has three major components: right to hold opinions, right to impart information and opinions, and right to receive information and opinions. While the paragraph 2 of this article sets the possible restrictions to this right of freedom of expression. All these restrictions must be constructed strictly, and the need for any restriction must be established convincingly. These restrictions are subject to three tests. Test of legality, whether the interference of freedom of expression is prescribed by law, so clearly stated in the legal act. Second, the test whether the legitimate aim was being pursued. Convention establishes here few areas of public importance that might justify such restrictions, among them interest of national security, territorial integrity, public safety, and some others. Third is the test of proportionality, whether the given restriction is necessary in a democratic society. It basically means that this test requires to determine whether the interference corresponds to a pressing social need and whether the
the means chosen are proportionate to the legitimate aim pursued. Member State has also is obliged to give reasons and justify the use of the given restriction convincingly. The court in a number of cases underlined the importance of freedom of expression for safeguarding public debate, notably stressing the role of journalism and media in sustaining public debate. Freedom of political debate, or broadly speaking, public debate, is at the very core of concept of a democratic society, which prevails throughout the convention. Political speech is afforded privileged protection under the convention, so there is very little scope for restrictions on political speech or debate on questions of public interest, as the court observed in a number of cases. Still, court also developed the concept of responsible journalism. That means that journalists have also the obligations in order to provide reliable information to the public. Within this concept of responsible journalist, it is required that protection according to Article 10 to journalists is subject to the proviso that they act in good faith, on accurate and factual basis, and provide reliable and precise information in accordance with ethics of journalism. We can put this concept from the negative part and say what should not take place. So when the given information, news item, involves excessive breadth of accusations, wholesale criticism, and is provided despite the absence of sufficient factual basis, while it's impossible to involve journalist good faith or compliance with the ethics of journalism, then the protection granted under Article 10 cannot be claimed. Court distinguish between the facts and opinions. This provision of responsible journalism rather refers to the facts than to opinions. Still, court mentioned in a number of cases that even where a statement amounts to a valid judgment, the proportionality of interference may depend whether there is a sufficient factual basis justifying accusations provided in the valid judgment. I have 2 more minutes, so I'll be very quick and okay, now more, please. Okay.
Let's find the slides so that we
Yes.
can get input from that.
So, the search for the right solution to the issue of fake news spread is taking place. A number of stakeholders developed their own initiatives in this respect. Facebook in Germany, in France, also Google developed their own project, but differ from country to country. It seems that the flagging given news item as doubtful based on independent, not subjective evaluation is one of the concepts that's worthy to be considered. It seems to be a prevailing trend. There are also a number of technical facilities, software developed that enables journalists to verify whether given info news found on the social media is or is not accurate. Let me just add to this information that Council of Europe is also commissioned a study that should be released in October in order to get to know what are the main types of misinformation or disinformation spread on the internet. What are the main ways through which this misinformation is spread, and what are the initiatives how to deal with this problem within the European continent. And based on this study, we will decide or we will consider further actions in order to stimulate the debate and search for the best solution.
Thank you. Can I ask you to our two panelists? It's a very tough issue. Everywhere in the world has got it.
All right. Thank you, Margareta. So now we want to do this session as interactive as possible. So we will do a little exercise. We would like to, for you to turn to your left, for example, and discuss with the person next to you, and give that person an example of fake news from your country, and just discuss for no more than 5 minutes about that news, and come up with a question if you have both for either of the panelists, or if you want to address something in plenary. So just to how to show you how we would like to do this, I will turn to Valentina and tell her that in Romania, during the protest that we had this January of anti-government protests, there were lots of fake news. One of which said that the dogs were paid to go out on the streets and make anti-government statements. And this, oh shit, wait, what? Sorry about that. I was looking at the news, but I wanted to show you this. Anyway, oh yes. So this is one of the fake news that we had, Valentina, in Romania during January. And I was wondering, because some news articles were wondering if we should have a body dealing with misinformation and information accuracy. A national body would actually impose fines and do this type of work. So now I would ask you to do the same with your colleague, with the person next to you, and in 5 minutes we're going to share some examples from your countries and the questions that you have.
Because as you heard, the Council of Europe in October is going to release, and I think that they need all our help, all our examples, all our experience. So turn to your friend, unknown, share a bit, and then come back to the audience, because we are all experts here. We do sit here just by chance, because we were crazy enough to accept to run the panel. But we are all experts. 5 minutes now.
pentru aceasta. În România n-ai construit până partea ca partidul. Nu făcut de capul mic. Dar nu te cine poate să le nu pot să zic că cineva ar putea să fie expulsat de aceste foarte biased.
Wrap up, we have 1 more minute to go. So, are you ready to share your examples? I see you got pretty excited about this little exercise. So, could I ask some of you to maybe share some of the examples you have from your country so that our session rapporteurs could also do their part in delivering this message further. We have Olga and Velma and Doran dealing with the session rapporteur and the online reporting. So now we have the floor entirely up to you, and we would like to invite you to contribute to the discussion. Please.
Hi. Well, we're both from Macedonia, so we couldn't really, well, we did share a few stories, but I think it's important, perhaps, instead of sharing a story, to make an important distinction that I see is kind of getting mixed up here, at least in my mind, is I view it differently. It's fake news are put as propaganda. And propaganda is when you have a center of power, whether it is the state or somebody else, who wants to project a given message, or messages, a series of messages. And if we look at the case here with the Veles boys, as it was covered in Wired and Financial Times, and it wasn't really, perhaps some of them were approached by the Trump campaign, but what they were doing is they were looking from where the vibrations will vibrate the most. So Trump tried with Hillary, it wasn't really vibrating. They tried with Bernie Sanders, some vibration there, but I mean, and by vibration I mean where they feel that there's some traffic going on, right? So it was the Sanders followers or the people who were supporting him were too sophisticated to fall for some of these news. So they saw, beside food issues, they saw that with the Trump campaign they could throw different news, and all of a sudden when they would throw them, they would vibrate, right? And that would bring revenues back. So their incentive was money, Google AdSense, and they were getting the money from there. So this is an important, I think, distinction to make. If propaganda is, I am the king, or whatever it is, I want to project to the world that I'm omnipotent, I am the descendant of God, and I will project those kind of messages. Here, it is, entrepreneurs who are working with the technology of the day, and the technology is facilitating it. And in that sense, it's like the industrialists, the bazaarites in Iran or wherever it is, where if you are at the bazaar, you have the power to insert gossip and influence things like that. So this is what the return of the bazaar mentality. So I just wanted to kind of throw that distinction there. I think it's an important one when we're discussing fake news. Thank you.
I will just move the microphone around because I like to walk. So any other fake news? Comments? You agree, disagree? Yeah, I can see a woman. Because I have a bias. I said, won't know me. I'm biased towards women.
I'd like to give an example that Michael reminded me of back in Turkey during the Gezi protests. And this was a piece of fake news that was spread by pro-government news outlets and columnists, and eventually it was even promoted by members of the government, and it was about during the protest how a group of men wearing leather clothes peed on a woman in a headscarf and on her baby. This was literally their claim, and then it was promised to be investigated and evidence to be produced, and well, it's been 4 years, and obviously it wasn't true, but this was discussed, and it occupied the newspapers and all of our agendas for a very, very long time. So it's been, as we all know, it's being weaponized, and I only wanted to say I think the only way to counter this is
train station, which gives you short snippets of news, which are not contextualized anymore. So you can feed up people day by day with this short news without any real political framing or context. This doesn't educate people, this doesn't make people smart or understand about political realities. This makes people stupid. So I think there are a lot of phenomena in the media, and not only in traditional media, but particularly now in the social media, which tend to be typologies of fake news.
Okay, public
Philip actually had a categorization of the types of fake news, so we can learn more about the different types of news that are.
Yes, this is by a project, the Global Voices Network, called News Frames, and they proposed as an experiment at first, but also as a as a start of more wider research, several categories of fake news, which might inspire you to share your examples as instructed by our colleagues. And I agree with the previous speaker that media manipulations go beyond this narrow definition of whether a news item contains or does not contain true facts. It could be, like you said, diversion. Instead, the Macedonian media space was flooded with hundreds of new media outlets which were just producing irrelevant news, including news about events in Bosnia or wherever, taken from their society chronicles. just to flood and especially the news aggregators and the social media, and to basically squeeze out the professional reporting.
Philip, what's your opinion? We now need a new Ministry of Truth. Do we need to?
Of course not. No. Our basic opinion and the experience of the community in Macedonia, which deals with these issues, is first that self-regulation of the media based on the journalistic standards is paramount. The journalism is journalism whether it's done by printed newspaper, television, or on the internet, and that we also have citizen journalists who, if they adhere to the standards of journalism, they should be considered journalists. While those who present themselves as journalists but don't adhere to standards of journalism are not journalists. They are media, propaganda, commercial, political, whatever. And also, that education and knowledge is the key to solving all problems. It will be more brought up in the media literacy section, but really it is paramount because, like the previous speaker said, the intent to make people less intelligent is obvious through this whole media sphere, including motivated just by getting money, not by creating a new society. And it is part of the problem, even though it's not the intent.
Do you want to have any more examples or questions? And also from online participation, if we have some questions, please let us know.
Okay, maybe I will talk about out of the context, but maybe it's a good example of something else. Can we imagine living in a world without fake news? Why I'm discussing this? We live actually on a personal level in a fake news. We as persons are doing the fake news every day. For example, when I'm doing as a customer or a customer when I'm talking with him, and when he has to pay to me for some services, and he doesn't want to pay, he will say, I don't have the money. For me, it's a fake news because actually maybe he has the money. And so on a personal, when we start on a personal level, then we're doing always the same thing, fake news. So when we go up on a maybe greater some level of interest, then we're doing the fake news. So first I think we should start on a personal level, and then we talk about fake news on media, journalism, and something else.
What we need are a set of different solutions, and media literacy is key. Research proves that even flagging or effective flagging of a given news item might not be efficient if it's not associated with adequate media literacy. It can be just no or forgotten. There's an interesting study in this respect about the reality of human memory. So this is the issue. And then, of course, this is very dangerous to count that some state authority might take on behalf of all the citizens be informed choices about which information should they have access to or they should not, because of susceptible falseness of the given information. It is rather a dangerous concept, and it might, in the utmost example, come to lead to censorship. So we should focus on different approaches developed in the dialogue with all stakeholders.
So now, if there are no more questions or please, yeah, go ahead.
You have the mic?
Thank you. About the examples, how fake news impact our life, I would like to bring a very solid example how fake news shape people's opinion, the opinion of society. It's about 2017 presidential election in the United States of America, and how Donald Trump was elected as a result of the influence of fake news, because they used to favor him over Hillary Clinton. So this shows how political manipulation can be done, political propaganda can be done as a result of fake news.
We have a reply. Is it a reply in front? Here in front.
Actually, about the Trump thing.
I knew it.
I want to correct misinformation. Stanford University did a research on that and the impact of the fake news on social media and how much of an effect it had actually on the election and the results. And did it have an effect to like sway the votes? And still, although the internet has a great power, most in the US as well, like in most other countries, TV still rules. Or like when it comes to voting, door-to-door connections still have a bigger effect, and TV commercials still have a bigger effect. So they concluded that the fake news effect on the election was not as big to have a. It was marginal.
So let's not, no, I will not enter into Trump. Sorry, this is Southeast Europe. I think that it's really important. It's not that I want to cut the conversation. There are many opportunities to talk, but there is also this monopolizing of Trump or US over any other conversation. Fake news or propaganda, misinformation, it's a serious problem, challenge everywhere in the world, but it's really important that we look at our own world. I live in Bosnia. And I can tell, I spent the last 20 years of my life in the Balkans, and if anyone in the Western Europe or US need the training on how to cope with this, I'm ready. I have just to ensure a visa, I can go, and I think plenty of people here in this room can provide assistance, psychological assistance, strategy advocacy, so let's stay here. We have our own fake news, and we have proved that we have young entrepreneurs, and I agree with you, it's the money business, young entrepreneurs in Macedonia that were able, in a very disastrous economy, to earn enough money if they wanted to buy a house. Which, you know, being a youngster, it's not that bad. But, so, is this kind of business that we want to have? Is it a business where ethics is forgotten? Is it a business that is ready to fake anything, anywhere, just to make money? This is one of my questions as a civil society. And it's also for you. So, before to move to the digital part, which will not probably answer, but can offer us other perspective, just one short reply, and then we can move to digital, and then we can come back meshing up everything.
I think there's another argument, and we shouldn't narrow or limit the discussion about fake or manipulation, blah, 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 too much on the digital level. Just another example. The traditional media and the media ownership question, in my opinion, is very crucial. Just a short example. The media landscape in Italy, when Berlusconi came in, was completely fucked up. Completely fucked up. So it was privatized and it was commercialized. What has been considered in a traditional context as a reader was transferred to a consumer. They sold anything with newspaper, journals, media outlets, just to change from the information level to a consumption level. And this was a change of parameters under Berlusconi in Italy. And this happened in other parts of Europe. To my knowledge, a lot of the former Yugoslav republics, the ownership was completely transferred from former public services to private investors. And who owns the media can say and manipulate as much as he or she wants.
Now you want to talk. Just a bit. It's online participation?
No.
No.
It's
Don't abuse your power, we have a
not
still
using
digital
my
literacy.
power. I'm just saying that I think we're overusing the word, the term fake news, and we're labeling basically everything with fake news. And we should stop it. Because the solution to tackling political propaganda in the media is completely different from tackling, unprofessional journalists who don't verify their claims and who are not, responsible enough to represent either the public or some individuals or interest groups. And this fake news was basically a thought project or an idea from the left, which who up until now had, and I'm being provocative here, who until now had the upper hand across the media cycle. So the right doesn't know how to do media, the left knows how to do media. And now when the right-wing, let's say, parties or interest groups started to, pick up pace in producing media content and forming up media outlets all around the globe, not just in the US, the left felt the need to, to take the media back, to say, no, you don't know how to do media, this is our turf. And the fake news term now it's become an empty term. Nobody knows what it means. Every time you see something in the media you don't like or you disagree with, you basically say it's fake news. You don't have to believe it, it's fake news. But in a way, fake news is just a term that, as I said before, and I'm repeating myself, doesn't mean anything. So we should stop using it. We should define clearly, lies, manipulation and stuff, and then move on. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. We have half an hour more to go, and we have two panelists, one from Armenia and one from Macedonia, that will talk about digital literacy. So if you agree, I will just wrap up. There are many things here. The term fake news as a way to cover everything, but there is the issue of digital, the technology that accelerate and spread, but there is also a specific place, because we have millions of media outlets that has no impressum, no one knows who are behind them, but there are also social networks. Our social networks like Facebook media do their own responsibility of what they allow on their platform or not. So there are many issues. And we will not solve. Let's now go to the side of people that are trying to reflect. So Narine, I hope that you are ready to go, because I'm just introducing you. So let's look from the side of people that look at media and digital literacy, because we all, as a user, as a citizen, we can produce, but also we become victims if we want, and speed those fake news. Let's see how people try to react or to work on building up a critical response. Narine.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Then when technology fails, there is always this awkward moment.
This is when the moderator starts singing.
No, I can dance. I will sing. If I sing, the room will be empty in less than 5 seconds. That's a well-known fact. I disclose myself very upper, but I can dance. Almost anything. And destroying anything that is traditional, that has some root. Because I'm a punk rock ex-girl, since I'm, the 50s don't allow you to be a girl.
I would like to respond to our colleague about the dominance of left or right wing. If we can determine that on the global level or in the US or on the Western Europe level, that liberal democracy was a predominant narrative in the past until recent upsurge of right-wing populism. What we have in the most of the Balkan countries is the reverse. Since the independence, the right-wing populism was the norm, also among the media. And what we have in the Balkans, especially in the Macedonia case, like a very concentrated example, is what would be the result look like after 10 or less years of the same trends continuing, unless they are stopped by different type of stakeholder intervention. And also I agree, the terminology is important. It's important not to use the language that is confusing, and sometimes it's planted intentionally or propagated in order to confuse people and to make things less understandable, not more.
Narine, we have done everything on our side to keep the people busy. Are you with us? Can you just, if we hear your voice, we will be happy. And then we will share pictures of you with your consent. I promise.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, just go 5 concentrate minutes. Go, digital literacy, media literacy.
In general, and by definition, media literacy education refers to teaching and learning about how to search, browse, and to filter information for importance, how to analyze and evaluate critically its credibility, truthfulness, responding to it by creating own media messages, online and offline. So 3 areas of competencies constitute media literacy: digital skills, critical thinking skills, and communication skills. The spread of social media and superabundance of information created now conditions for circular reporting, when an information source is nearly impossible to detect. Unverified fact on a wiki page can appear in a published article, which may later be added as citation for the same wiki information. So there are a number of tips which media literacy practitioners prescribe to spot fake news. We just need to investigate who might benefit or be harmed by the article or an opinion. Does it attack a generic enemy? Is it trying to persuade you something? Is the news too good to be true? Is it oversimplified? Is the language of the news emotional or neutral? Is there a response from anyone criticized? And at last, is your own search language biased in any way? There is a scientific evidence that people are more likely to believe information supporting their beliefs and reject facts contradicting them. And this is complicated by the fact that personalized algorithms of social networks and search engines prioritize information matching our worldview. And they not only form knowledge accessible to us, but also social relationships in the digital and physical world. And this is not only a post-truth era, but the era of surveillance, when internet companies based on massive personal data decide what information to show us, construct our identities, our world, and this is the process we have very little control over. So to summarize, media literate citizens should be able to read something that doesn't fit their world an open mind and not automatically rejected as biased. One thing which I also would like to stress that with the spread of citizen journalism and bloggers, news aggregators, very often uninformed opinion masquerades as news, and the lines are often blurry between legitimate journalism and propaganda. So while we look for the ways to address the problem of fake news, let's remember that measures against spread of misleading information can easily be transformed into censorship against free speech, a classic feature of authoritarian states. Thank you very much, and I wish you all to have an interesting discussion today.
Thank you, Noreen. Okay. So just for the sake of, before we move to Sasha, so skill. Skill is a key. Skill are digital skill, critical skill. So we need to know the technology, how it works, how it doesn't work. We need to have a critical mind, and we need to have ability to communicate. And plus, there is the happiness machine. This is, I think, what is important from Nareen. The happiness machine are the social network that take us there because they are organized by likes. And they will show us what they think we believe, because as Nareen says, we agree with what we already believe. It's like looking at yourself in the mirror. You recognize yourself and you like what you say. And you see, and you press the button, like, love, share. So the happy machine, let's not forget the happy machine, and the censorship that this also can bring when we rely on mechanisms that are going to make us maybe less happy, but more safe and secure. And with this, we can move to Sasha, which is from the Agency for Media, for Audiovisual Media Services from Macedonia, because I think it's important to hear also what in this country has been done to try to address digital literacy and how things goes. Thank you. 5 strong minutes, 7 at the most.
First of all, I have to clear up some things. Not digital literacy, but media literacy. It's the key. I mean, when we are discussing this, it is very important because it is connected with the main measure that were undertaken by the European Union. I first wanted to give you a context how this developed, the whole concept of media literacy. It is coming from the Audiovisual Media Services Directive, which have obligation towards the member states to provide measures in order to increase the level of media literacy. It is Article 30 of the directive, but also it stipulates that European Commission has to submit reports to the European Parliament each year. And besides the directive is transposed in Macedonian law, so we have a similar situation. The Agency on Media Services is also obliged to, it has competencies over media literacy in Macedonia. In order to translate theory into practice in such a complex subject as a media literacy, we are aware that measurements are necessary. And measurements are about data. At the same time, when the European conducted a survey or research of the level of the media literacy in the member states, the same was done here in Macedonia last year. And the results came out, they have to be analyzed. and they have to introduce a strategy and how the regulatory should react. I have to emphasize that the perfect modality to measure media literacy does not exist, and different methodologies were used. There is no ready-to-use formula, and it is a step-by-step process. Ideally, a yearly measurement is to be done and improved over the years. A survey on media literacy among the adult population was done last year in Macedonia, and it is the first of its kind conducted in the country. The results of the study should be used for policy planning and activities and projects to promote media literacy in Macedonia. The poll involved 1,523 respondents aged over 16 years of age, through face-to-face interviews in the period from December 14 to December, from November 14 to December 8 last year. I will not give you details because the research, the survey, is available on our webpage, but a few points out of this. It is that the adult population in Macedonia is aware usually that different media are reporting differently of the same event. But what is lacking is the action and how they receive, how they well, I don't have words exactly. Yeah, how they analyze the information they get, whether it is influencing their opinion or not. Well, and the other point is that we are going to make, to enlarge this survey for the next year, including the minors or the children, which is also an important aspect of the media literacy. But first of all, as the results show, we have also a great obligations towards adult population. So this is in general. I will not give you more data since it is available. Just a few points to think about.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sasha. So now it's back to you and to us. If you prefer to take 2 minutes to think about your question or your issue, or also from your country, if there are experiences on how to address media literacy, when also it comes connected to technology. If you have any question for any of the panelists, including Narina, we are here. Why do you think? I would just say briefly that Bosnia had, after 20 and so years, a census. And in the census were also the question of media literacy and digital literacy. And the results are terrifying. We are an ignorant country. Ignorant because we have 38% of people that is digitally ignorant, and 23% of people that can just surf or be able to open a Word document. So if we think at what was saying Sasha or Narine about the critical ability to understand and to react, but also to think about the digital ability to use and the communication, we understand how this is terrifying. For me, it's terrifying. And there is a digital gender gap, because in a poor country, when a parent has to decide on who invests for education, they decide to invest on the boys. So we have also in Bosnia and Herzegovina 2 more than 2% of completely illiteracy of young girls. And this then can reflect also online. So this is just to give you some times, and then the floor is open. And I will be happy to walk till the end. Digital literacy, comments, thinking, solution, if you have any. 1, 2. Oh, we go first in the back. Please stand up. Please stand up. And then we go back here in front, just for people that didn't have the chance to speak already, and then we move back to our two gentlemen here.
Thank you. This is working. Okay. So I have a really short comment that is more of a question. I think that the field of media literacy is developed enough in order to offer people that are interested in gaining it a lot of tools that can help them discern what is the truth, what is opinion, and how opinions are formed, what is the context. However, I think that the biggest problem is not related to the tools that are available to citizens, but to behaviors. Because as you mentioned, we are psychologically prone to accept information that confirms our own beliefs, and there is a big bulk of research on this specific thing. So my question, which is open to anyone that has an opinion, is how do we educate behaviors and attitudes so that people are more willing to search for the truth? Because they can, I am totally sure that they can do it. The question is if they know that there is a need to do it, and that sometimes truth is not only at the surface, what they see firsthand.
Thank you. So get ready. We have you were ready. We have here in the sorry. Then Philip. And if anyone has then want to also answer to the question, it's open.
Well, I want to bring in perhaps a comment from earlier about the structure of, let's say, ex-Yugoslavia and perhaps other countries from the previous Eastern Bloc, where the view is that propaganda certainly existed in the sense that there was one central way of communicating it. Well, another thing that existed was skepticism and cynicism at that time, which is an important skill if we're talking about skills here. And the people knew that what was said, there was a high degree of structure. So what was happening was, during the markets, during the day-to-day coffees with people, it was where the real information was being exchanged. And sometimes if there's a fear that somebody's going to be eavesdropping, then you speak in formulae that are only kind of available in jokes and here and there, and this is how the conversation was going. And I think that that skill is still present. And if you look at it, what's happening here. But what the internet and other technologies kind of allowed is to really overwhelm. And I think that right now, because there's so many different patterns of conversations going on, the overwhelming information that is there is what is swamping and not allowing for some critical. And unfortunately, those who are most inclined to be critical in an intellectual, objective way have left many of them from many of these countries. I mean, so many of, and this is a key thing to be addressed, it's a socioeconomic issue. It's not really a literacy issue, because the conditions don't exist for the well-educated state. They leave, and there's a little suction that's going west of the people who should be the ones who take the charge toward a more objective way of looking at things. So again, all these conversations is very often education. It's a socioeconomic issue. It's not an educational issue really at the core of it. Education can do some part, but once you educate those who you want to educate, if they leave to another place, then you've done nothing. But if you raise the standard of living,
I agree. It's all about money. That's why no one invests in education, because then you are brilliant and then you make troubles. I fully agree that it's social. Philip, and if you have still, okay, thank you. Michael and anyone else?
I would like to follow up on the issue raised at the back, and also the others, because we have part of the population which is educated and recognizes the media manipulation, let's say, And we have part of the population that requires education. However, within the part that is educated, not all of them, or very small majority of them, is actually doing something with that education. We tried within this media fact-checking project to research this aspect of how to make citizens more willing to take part in these efforts. And we conducted a survey which is compatible with the survey previously, with similar results about the levels. And it showed that citizens are aware that the media in general are not to be trusted. Only 5% said that they trust the media in Macedonia. However, when it's up to them to do something about it, what they do, most of them just comment within their friends and family in a close circle where they can, not in a public sphere. Most of them also actually don't, many of them don't react, 40%. And they think that somebody else should take care of this business, especially some state institutions and so on, including our own host, Agency for Electronic Communications, which has no competency in this content sphere. It is only about the technological framework of, while the, even, so very few people mention the Broadcasting Council, which is basically the previous name of the Agency for Audiovisual Services, and has some legal competencies in addressing these media issues, or self-regulation mechanisms. But what is most important, I think, is that when we ask the people what would encourage them to do so, is that they have, they want to be certain that somebody will respond to this, that they will not just talk about it and nothing will happen. And 25% is basically referring to fear. Because when media manipulations become the norm as part of certain populist political system, then the people become afraid. And even if they know what to do, they don't do it.
We need to wrap up. So I will, mine will very brief. Then there is, you want to close a line, and then we need, sorry? 2 minutes, and then we need to have our rapporteur so that we know what we have been talking about. So, be super brief.
I can skip.
I know people that can self-censor themselves so nicely. Thank you very much for the understanding. So, Mangozata, your last line. If you want to have a last line, then we move to our rapporteurs.
I would like to share information about the draft recommendation in preparation that should be adopted by, well, finalized as a draft by the end of this year. Draft recommendation on the media pluralism and the transparency of media ownership. And it has a large component concerning media literacy, and it recognizes as crucial importance for member states to strengthen the law encouragements to develop media literacy, but also to develop actual media literacy policy and operate and implement it through the multi-annual plans. So to give more structure, more overall approach to media literacy, because if we discuss it only as a concept, it might lead us to nothing. So we need some real timeline and clear media literacy goals established in international level.
Okay, so is there anything, Sasha, you think you have to say for the benefit of us all, or we go to the just for bad conditions so that I'm not always biased?
Well, I want to summarize the discussion and a few questions that have arisen about the right terminology. I think media literacy really respects the socio-economic as it is defined, and it is also understanding the cultural, regulatory, educational contents. I want to take you back why I told you it's very important to distinguish between digital literacy and media literacy, because digital literacy is a little bit earlier term, very much connected with Nicolas Negroponte, I suppose, and his book Being Digital. Media literacy, it is a new concept, and it is an answer to basically to the misuse of media, whether it is traditional or it is internet. Instead of implying regulation that will be based on punishing media, it is a concept that is somehow considered dedicated more to users, how to recognize their abilities and their approach to the media. And it is more like, it is not really education, but it is in part.
Thank you very much. It's a very feminist concept, agency. We can take things on our own. Rapporteurs, are you ready to tell us what we were talking and how crazy we were?
Happy machine, that's what I got.
So we have a few points, and we would like to ask you to kind of endorse each of the points. Once I mention the point, please, if you agree with that, just raise your hand so we know that we are correct. So the first one is that new technologies bring more access to reporting, thus democratizing conversation, which is now happening horizontally. Thank you. And the next one is we should differentiate between propaganda and fake news. Propaganda is about having the center of power which creates vibrations that work the most. And fake news is about entrepreneurs working with the technology delivering the message of the day, following the bazaar mentality. I tried. The next one is nowadays we are having fast food media which deliver short and not contextualized messages, thus not educating people but making them stupid. And the next one is media literacy consists of digital skills, critical thinking and communication skills, but it's not only about education but about considering also the socio-economic environment. And the last point is that we need to make the distinction between fake news and unprofessional journalism, as we all use the term fake news. That's it, thank you.
Thanks from Valentina.
Thank you very much.
And then someone else has to take the floor and to continue. Thanks for having this so nice.
Everybody is invited to have a coffee break outside.